I swear this stuff all goes in waves. There's weeks that are really good, there's weeks that are really bad, and there's weeks that are mediocre. Kind of always wanted to write a comic book called The Mediocre. Just give me an average comic about a beefy ogre. Not a very good book. Not a very bad book. It's mediocre. Anyways, I'm Taylor, Cranky Comic Book Review Show, worst to best. And this is a tough one because most of the books are about the same level this week. They're mostly mediocre. Get it? Because I tied it back to the intro because I'm a freaking pro. All right, yeah. A lot of Marvel and a little bit of DC and not a lot of indie this week. LCS, it is what it is. I'll hunt down some other books at some point. Here we go. First, and I don't know, I guess worst probably, maybe, we have the Bloodline, the Daughter of Blade, #1. This is the origin of Brielle something or other. Blade line? Can't remember the last name. It's fine. There's just... Okay. It's written by... Who is it? It's written by Danny Lore, art by Karen Darbo, coloring by Chris Peter. It's the dialogue, and a lot of these, with almost all the mediocre ones, there's something that just doesn't ring true, and this one is the dialogue. You have a black urban kid calling her younger brother Agatha Christie, her guy. It's an Agatha Christie joke, and I really highly doubt that a young teenager would know who Agatha Christie was. I barely know who Agatha Christie was, and I'm old as shit, and. Yeah, there's just instances like that. It's like an old person trying to write young and not working well. And so when they don't know how to write young, they're like, oh, this young teenager really likes blues music because I know blues music. And I get it. You write what you know. Otherwise, it probably will ring false, but it's still ringing kind of false. Otherwise, it's just... Wait, that's not even this one. That's the wrong book. I've confused the two, so we're going to talk about this one. Everything I just said applies to Silver Surfer. Which has no Silver Surfer in it. Young black twin. Yeah, okay. That's the thing. These mediocre books all do blend together, which makes me a really crappy reviewer, and I get that. I'm okay with it. I can be cranky and crappy, but I'm not going to call myself cranky in the thumbnail. It doesn't work. This is written by John Jennings, art by Valentine Delandro, and coloring by Matt Miller. This book has siblings in it. One is really into the blues and stuff. The art is very kind of simplistic and clean, and it's okay. I don't think the coloring is doing it a whole lot of favors. It's pretty basically colored, pretty brightly colored, which sometimes works. Also, this is not a Silver Surfer story. This is an origin story-ish kind of for another character. It doesn't really get into it. This is just... It's very tropey. Like, this young family moves into a new house where the girl doesn't feel loved, and you can almost kind of plot the story yourself from there. There's an uncle that died 10 years ago and left him in the house. And with those details in mind, you can probably figure out this missing character and based on this cover and everything else, what's kind of going on. It's not a Silver Surfer book at all, although the Surfer's in it on the last page. It's a spec book, I guess, if you want to spec on whoever the hell they're going to call this new character or whatever. And yeah, it's all right. It's just all right. It's mediocre. Mediocre. Fights crime. Not really well. Not really badly. All right, now we're going to do Bloodline. Bloodline is the origin story of the Daughter of Blade. Who appeared in one of the free things a while back. Written by Danny Lore. You already knew that. Art by Karen Darbo. I'm not going to add any of this shit because I don't have the time or the energy. This one also, it just has like a mom and daughter interaction. It doesn't ring true. Like the mom's like, at some point was hooking up with Blade and they gave birth to this kid and like, it kind of goes from there. It's just the mom's not acting very mom-ish. And then the kids are acting kind of weird. It's just, everything's a little bit off. And I think with that editorial tweaking or a little bit of everything else, you could figure it out. But like this girl, Brielle, this is Brielle Blade's daughter, whose still name I still didn't manage to remember here. Brielle something or other. Brielle Calder. Brielle, it doesn't matter. It's one of those Marvel names. Brielle, blah, 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 blah. Hang on. Brielle Brooks. Jesus, I couldn't remember that. It's Marvel's alliteration thing, and I still couldn't remember it. It's fine. Also, mysterious new girl comes to town, is in class, and then Brielle Brooks is trying to discover her powers and is talking about all her powers while trying to discover them, and runs into somebody, but you could never guess who from what I just said. It's another predictable ass thing. not the end of the world. It's a fair middle of the road start. I mean, that's what it is. It's not fantastic. It's not awful. It's just got that crime of being average, and that's most of these books this month. They're just they're fine. 6.0. You can buy that shirt at TaylorWinter.com. If you too want to be average. Anyways, next. I can't talk about these a whole lot. I just don't have it in me. We have issues 2 and 3 of Miles Morales' Spider-Man. I missed it last time, and they had it in the shop, and it was a late enough week. I was like, all right, I'll pick them up. And this is the Cody Ziegler writing Spider-Man. Some of the same kind of stuff. Like, the dialogue feels a little bit more true, and it's not a bad story. There's a new villain that gets introduced in here with one of the dumber reasons to be a villain, even by like Marvel high school like shenanigans standards. But I guess it sort of fits. This is kind of getting drawn though by Vincentini. Like the writing's better than the other two, so it puts it above it. And the art is by Federico Vicentini, who I think might have filled in on some Daredevil. Not Daredevil, Moon Knight. But it really feels like it. It feels like Cappuccio Light mixed with like Simone de Mayo. And it's angular and it's jaggy and like it seems like it's almost a new Marvel house style to be like this kind of like angular, fluid, kind of sketchy, and like relying on the colors to do the heavy lifting and stuff, which is fine, except for on the panels like this where it just kind of turns into a little bit of a hot mess. It actually reads better from farther away because you can sort of see what's going on. But like the composition's a little lacking on a lot of these bigger panels, and like there are panels where I'm just like, what the hell just happened? It doesn't have the, like Cappuccio in Moon Knight, who you'll see later, really has the chops to pull off this style, and it takes some doing here. Like this panel is that introduces kind of a character, and like it's just a mess. Like, what the hell's going on there? Like you have to sit and try and dissect it. You're like, all right, I guess that's the new Marvel thing. It's fine. It's that not to suppose who that character was. You have to read it for yourself, people. Like this, just open it up to this. Like that's just a hot mess of a page. It either needs different coloring or different inking or something, or maybe even just a different everything. Because like you can have that style, but like you have to have a way of like delineating the foreground and the background a little bit better, and you have to have a way of like telling a story. And like when you get this angular, fun kind of sketchiness, which I dig that style. You can't sacrifice storytelling in front of it, like because of it. Like comics are a medium that like relies on the artist's ability to visually tell a story, and like there are panels here that are just nonsense, and like you're just like, what in the hell is going on? Even when it's just a dialogue thing, you're like, there's got to be clearer ways to do it, and that's my biggest issue with these two books. It's fine. I dig the Miles character, although I don't still necessarily love the dialogue with it. It doesn't ring great, but not awful. It just needs some tweaking, and yeah, maybe I'm nitpicking, but whatever. It is what it is. So, look, I'm drinking tea, and you can stalk me because that's not the name of my apartment building at all. Black tea with like bitterness and old age mixed in. I don't know. All right, next we have Lazarus Planet. What is this one called? Legends Reborn. Ooh, there's Legends Reborn. I don't think there's a single legend actually reborn in this issue. There's a couple different stories in here. There's Renee Montoya. Is that her name? Whatever. The new question in here. It's fine. It's honestly about as predicted. It's a cool looking, well drawn. I dig that. Like, look, foreground, background delineated. I get some more simple art style, and so you're not going to get that busy kind of jaggedy art background. But what the hell's her name? It doesn't matter. The new question, but it's a very like by the numbers like story in the first that first one especially. It's like okay. The second story with the Beast and Raven is better. It's got a more jagged art style. The lettering is kind of god awful in a bit of it, but it's also got at least a decent twist for an 8-page story or however many page story in this. And I get that's tricky. It's hard as hell to pull off when you only have a very small amount of panels to work with and a very small amount of pages. And it takes a writer with some serious chops to do it. Like the Renee Montoya, I'm pretty sure that's the name, is fine. It's just not special. If you're not if you don't know who the question is, you're not going to give a shit after reading that story. It's just not going to talk you into it. Like, why would you care? Like it's just not an interesting way to do it. Hang on, I have to plug my laptop in while I'm doing this because. Anyways, is that working? Well, we'll see. Anyways, I think I have enough battery left to make it through this recording. And yeah, but anyway, the Beast and that one's better. I can't remember who it's by. That's by Greg Pak, I believe. No, Packnadell. Packnadell's the writer on that one. And then there's a new character, or maybe a Golden Age, or some kind of rebirthy kind of thing of City Boy in here, who's an interesting enough character, kind of strangely designed and kind of, I don't know, not much to it, but it's just a character intro. So for being a character intro, that Greg Pak does a character intro for City Boy. It's not awful. That's spoilers. The dude in the dull red is City Boy, and he has some city-like powers. So it's fine. Nothing. It's at least a little more intriguing than than the question story. And then there's the setup for a new Firestorm, and that's also fine. It's a pretty run-of-the-mill, sort of typical story, and that's by Dennis Culver, which kind of worries me because I think Culver's writing the new Doom Patrol, and if this is any indication, it's not going to be wacky enough or fun enough or anything else enough. It's kind of a run-of-the-mill thing with a little bit of a twist at the end. It's like setting up more Firestorm stuff, maybe, but it's just not. It's fine. All these, everything, fine. And then we have the last two books, which are better. We have Moon Knight number, whatever this one is, 20. This one has Capucho's art, and it's hard to tell. Yeah, maybe, yeah, you can sort of tell. Look, that's a splash page, but like there's delineation enough to it. You can tell what's going on. Even still got some jaggedness and still a little bit busy. But the art really, like you have to have these chops to tell a story with this style. And that Capucho does. And Jed McKay, I like his Moon Knight quite a bit. Like I'm not going to page through this whole thing for you because then you can just read the book, like pause the screen and read it. But people are killing Moon Knight's friends. And so Moon Knight's trying to figure it out. That's the plot of this issue. It's pretty baller. It's pretty cool. It's like, if you're like Moon Knight, you're going to like this. If you don't like Moon Knight, you're not going to like this. It's you're not going to get dragged, like, not a great jumping on point. And then there's a mediocre background Blade story that might tie into, like, being continuity, which is, it's fine. It's got kind of subpar art and subpar whatever. It's not a fantastic backup story. Better than the rest, not amazing. Like, it's the theme of my life. Better than the rest, but not amazing. And I'm going to keep plugging in this laptop until it plugs in. Somebody buy me a new power cable. All right, best book of the week. We have Where Monsters Lie, number 1. Dark Horse. It's written by Cal Starks, who wrote a bunch of other stuff. I can't think of what. And then art by Peter Kowalski. Kind of, this is a fun one. This is the most fun book of the week. It's got the best premise, the best setup of the bunch, and it's my favorite of the week by a lot. And I know other reviewers have beat me to this and probably have said the same thing. It's just not a great read for book. But this art is kind of amazing. It's like it's detailed and line-oriented and thin, and like really dig the art. And the story is fun too. This is, if you like plush or vinyl, you probably will dig this story. It's like a bunch of serial killers living in a small neighborhood who promise not to shit where they eat, but then one of them shits where they eat. That's not proper English. Anyways, and then trouble ensues. So like you get like all these stereotypical movie serial killers. You got like a Leatherface, you got a clown guy, you get another puzzle guy, you get like the from Saw. You got the old cranky old lady that just likes to kill people, who I can kind of relate to, and all these like kind of fun like tropes of serial killers all live in this neighborhood. And they watch each other's back, and they help them plan traps. They all this stuff. It's not the point. I'm not really trying to spoil a whole lot. If you read the solicits, you'll find that out. It's just, if you want like a fun, over-the-top, violent book, this is probably your best bet. Where Monsters Lie. It's got some promise. I can't remember what else Kyle Starks has done. He did some Chuck Norris book I read a while back, but it was not called Chuck Norris. But yeah, Where Monsters Lie, favorite book of the week on a pretty blah week. So we're going to go back through them so I can stretch this video out for more content that you're not going to watch. Where Monsters Lie, Moon Knight 20, Lazarus, Pit, Planet, Legends. There's no Legends. There's no Reborn. Miles Morales, a couple issues. And then Bloodline and Silver Smurfer. Yeah, so it was fine. That's about it. I'm going to go drink some more black tea and be crotchety and old, and that's what I do. I'm old. Get off my lawn. Don't be a dick. I'll see ya.